Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mystery Channel 33. I am Tatiana. I'm here to help solve more missing women, children, and men cases. I'm here to break the codes if I see any. I'm here to see where their bodies are located if they know. And I'm also here to see if they're alive, deceased, body suited, change your ethnicity, or misidentity. You already should know who's involved, so let's begin. This is titled Horror in St. Louis Hills. Gary Consolino, Ellen Dooling, and the Murders That Shook a City. I heard this about me and Batch. I do not know. Okay. This is the car scene though. Okay. Get no picture of them yet. Okay. I'm gonna read this first and then show you this video. It was a crisp fall night, the kind good for sleeping. But I told him this last night. I said something like this. I said it was raining last night. I said this is the perfect weather to cuddle and lay in the bed. I said something like that. I said they're gonna be a good sleep tonight. It was too. But John Dooling was awakened by a noise in his driveway. His daughter Ellen had been out on a date and he was suddenly worried. He looked out the window and saw a blue Oldsmobile Cutlass parked in front of his house, his engine still running. Concerned, he went outside, saw Ellen in passenger seat, opened the door and pulled her out. John Dooling screamed and screamed and screamed. Sound like, I don't know, let's see. A piercing scream so horrible and loud, lights flickered up and down the 6200 block of Wall Street. It was 4 a.m. The calendar had turned to November the 15th, 1980. Gary Consolino and Ellen Dooling met just a month earlier while working at Sears in Crestwood Plaza and immediately realized they had much in common. They both grew up in Catholic in South St. Louis. Gary had gone to Bishop DuBois. Yes, Ellen was a proud graduate of Nestle Hall. That's a fake college right there. Gary was a 20-year-old junior at UMSL. Ellen, an 18-year-old freshman at LSU. Both was active in drama. Both were starting to save money for their future. Okay, this not us. When Gary asked Ellen out for a date, she eagerly accepted. They had so much fun they planned a second date. This time at a school play. Afterwards, they returned to Gary's house to watch television. Later, they went to McDonald's before Gary drove Ellen home, where she had lived on the beautiful tree-lined streets of the peaceful St. Louis Hills neighborhood since she was born. It was 1 a.m. Now, Miss Ellen, she was lynched, she said. I just seen her being lynched. 3 hours later, with the car still running and the windows rolled up, John Dooling awakened. This is them. Okay. No. Okay. Ellen do though. Okay. Gary and Ellen had been shot and killed. There was no robbery, no assault, no struggle. There were no witnesses. There was no noise to awaken the sleepy neighborhood until John's anguish rang out. Now I feel like in the beginning they talking about when he came outside. I feel like he was trying to tell them not to get in their car. Cause they usually do that. They be trying to. That's called hijacking. When they opening your car. That's why when I drive, I lock my doors while I drive too. By the way, okay. Or when I'm stopping somewhere, I lock my doors. Like my doors gonna stay locked. Okay. You might see the window down. That's it. You can't get in my shit. Like they kind of like a hobo on a train. You know how a hobo jump on a train to get on? They would do that. That's how they used to do back in the day, y'all. They used to like you be driving though, y'all, and they be trying to get in your car, bro. You stop at a red light, they gonna try to get in your shit. I lock mine. I ain't gonna keep to y'all. I tell everybody lock your doors while you're driving, okay? Sirens soon followed his cries, and police cars flooded the area. By the time the sun rose, the neighborhood was being canvassed. As the days went by, police would interview hundreds of people. Nearby, Francis Park was combed inch by inch. Lie detector tests was given. School friends was questioned. Rewards was offered. A hypnotist was brought in. The investigation was as intense as any city homicide investigators could remember. Now, more than 40 years later, there are still no clear answers. Amen. The murders of Gary Consolino and Ellen Dooling remain among the coldest cases in the history of St. Louis. So I'm hearing someone going to casino. They could have left a casino. So be careful of casinos. The Dooling family declined to be interviewed for this story. The Consolino family name is a landmark in the Hill neighborhood. Their family opened a grocery store in 1906, and the casino market was a must-visit in the 1940s. It's either they were dating or they were actually father and daughter, okay? Consolino's market was a must-visit in the 1940s. Despite their history, it's the events of those early hours on that 1980 date that live forever with the family. I miss him every day, said Dominic Consolino, Gary's older brother. Now, really, that's not his real brother. Someone knows something. This had been pent up in somebody for 40 years. It's time for them to come forward. It's been long enough. This needs closure for many people. Mike Downey was Gary's best friend since 8th grade. He liked to write and fish and shrimp. Gary was absolutely funny. He had a grin that was half angelic and half devilish. There was a very close-knit family, Downey said. When Downey joined the armed services, so the Army, Gary would write to him and even visit him in California. Even now, Downey remembers in vivid detail the day he received a phone call about his best friend's death. It was pure shock. It was disbelief, he said. We just couldn't figure it out. It just didn't make any sense. So who killed Gary and Ellen and why? Sometimes murder had no answers. Sometimes there is no motive. Sometimes if there is an answer, it seems capricious. And sometimes you have to look for answers in strange places. You ain't lying. 4 years after Gary and Ellen was murdered, Warner Adcock and his friend Darren Molitor, in their 20s and without jobs or cars, spent most of their days hanging around the St. Louis University campus. There they befriended Mary Towley, an 18-year-old from Oakville. She just came up, whose father was a LSU professor. The three sons became fast friends, with a common interest in the board game Dungeons and Dragons. When Towley's parents left town for a weekend in March of 1984, she decided to throw a Friday the 13th party and invited Adcock and Molitor along with other friends. When Towley's parents returned home after the weekend, Mary was nowhere to be found. Neither was the Towley family car. Days later, her body wrapped in wire was discovered along a wooded road west of Barnhart. She had been strangled to death. Okay? So basically, they trying to say the person that killed her killed him. Okay? Killed them. Okay? The police investigation will quickly turn to Adcock and Molitor, who had also disappeared. The family car was found in the Atlanta airport. Adcock and Molitor were found in the Atlanta motel. Both men confessed and were charged with first-degree murder. At his trial in St. Louis, Molitor said he and Adcock tied Mary up after the night of drinking and drugs to mess with her mind. Molitor claimed he was desensitized by playing Dungeons and Dragons. Adcock claimed police coerced him into confession. Both men was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Adcock wound up in a federal penitentiary in Indiana. While there, he was convicted of murdering another inmate in 1991, strangling them with a cord. So basically, they saying it's them, Gary and Ellen. The fuck? Later, he was charged with conspiracy to murder another inmate. With that, Adcock was bound for one of America's toughest prisons, USP Marion. And with multiple murder convictions, Warner Adcock would spend the rest of his life in prison. While his name never surfaced as a suspect in the murder of Gary Consolino or Ellen Dooling, he eventually would. In 1987, 7 years after Gary and Ellen was murdered, with their case still cold, Homicide detective Chris Papyrus asked to take over the investigation. His long-winded investigation role would eventually lead him to Adcock and Marion Penitentiary. Okay. If you have information on the details of the murders of Gary Consolino and Ellen Dooling, call the St. Louis City Homicide Department at 314-444-5371 or the Crime Stoppers Anonymous Tip Hotline at 866-371-8477, which is tips. Okay, and that's all the information they have of them. If you like to help with this case, you can. I don't do this for the fame or the money. I do it because it's what I love to do. And to the real families of these victims, corporate America will set you up. Thank you, peace, and be safe.